What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Taking the Pin. Today, we are discussing the events of the Monday Night Raw after WrestleMania. Big shock, as we have a new Paul Heyman guy to side with Seth Rollins, basically, and with Paul Heyman, of course. And, of course, we're going to discuss that final segment as a whole, because I, for one, Bryce, I think that was an absolute masterpiece in terms of a final segment.
It was unbelievable.
Yeah, it really was. So, in terms of the segment then, let's have a quick recap. We had Seth and Paulie Heyman himself come out and discuss the goings-on of the first night of WrestleMania. Seth doing his usual stick of, calling himself a visionary, a revolutionary, all that stuff. And then eventually we had CM Punk come out, taping his wrists up as he goes in his usual punkish fashion. And then Seth got the better of Punk and basically went back to telling us how great it was and how this new alliance is basically going to set things right in the world of wrestling. And then we got Roman Reigns, of all people, coming out. Now, for me, the amount of time it took out for his Tron music to hit and then him to actually come out, I thought there was going to be a typical heelish moment of, he's not actually here. He's went away and grabbed his ball and gone home. Much like CM Punk did all those years ago, as Seth probably would have alluded to if he'd cut that promo. But then Roman came out and speared Seth and Superman punched Paul. And it was looking like Paul was about to get a spear to his mid-region. And then we had the second Paul Heyman guy arrive unannounced and spear the living bones out of Roman Reigns' soul, and that is one Bron Breakker. And then to not only finish it there, which I think you could have well done with arms aloft, as the final shot ended up being, but then you had Seth get hold of Roman and say, "You're going to watch what I'm going to do to you in just a few short moments." Stamps Punk's head into the canvas, stamps Roman's head into the canvas. Arms are held aloft. Final shot, Seth, Paul Heyman, and Bron Breakker all in arms, looking joyous in their newfound dominance on Monday Night Raw. So, with that quick recap out of the way, Bragster, what did you think of this segment as a whole?
Oh, it was incredible. It was, the graphic came up on the screen, and I was like, that's all right end to the show, And then for what feels like the first time ever, they did the graphic trick, but on a normal episode of Raw rather than the pay-per-view, which really threw me off. And you have everything else, and I think it was one of those instances where using that graphic worked so well, because you could feel the disappointment for some of the crowd. And like, not disappointment, but sort of like you could feel the energy sort of go as like they realize, okay, it's ending. Because from being in the stadium, the graphic appears on the screen in the stadium as well. And yeah, so you see the graphic as a fan and you go, oh, okay, like, and
That's it. Yeah.
They were already standing tall. There wasn't any promoing going on. They were already standing tall.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, okay, this is it. Like, there was no, it wasn't like when I was there for the Punk revealing that the WrestleMania main event wasn't the favor.
Yeah.
Because Punk was still talking at the time that the graphic came up. So
Yeah.
you knew a line was coming. So we all started listening more. In this instance, it was, they're already standing tall, graphics come up, makes sense for the show to end. And then, it goes wild. And Bron is the perfect choice.
Yeah.
We've all fantasy booked it for so long, and then we forgot about it. All of us forgot about Bron and Heyman and how that's like the perfect pairing and how it's like the modern day Brock pairing.
Yeah.
Probably better. And it's so good. And, it would just add layers and layers to Bron's character that's already so good. And it's also the fact that it's the equalizer to Roman Reigns with the spear. Like, it's not this whole spear versus spear, because it annoys me. But instead, it's instead built almost like, we found an equalizer. Yeah, okay, you can hit the spear out of nowhere. We found someone that can do it better than you. And that is like so clever, and like because Seth and Punk are like the perfect opposites. They're the perfect like little match because they are really similar when you actually think about it.
Yeah.
And then just to have that equalizer to Roman is so good. And this final shot, they're going through the barricade. They did not pull any punches. They were like, "We're gonna show you that this faction's gonna be dominant." They're like from the moment Bron came out, not once did Roman and Punk look like they were getting the upper hand. It was just dominant, and that was so good. It was just for what already was a great Raw after Mania. They finished it on the highest note you possibly could.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, again, touching on that like you did there, the Raw after Mania is always one of the most hyped up and built up Raws of the year. It's probably not the most hyped up Raw of the year, and it was just it couldn't have been a better show if it tried. Really, I don't think with the surprise comebacks, the surprises and maybe turns and title changes and matches overall, and in terms of actually setting up what the next few months are going to look like, I think it did a brilliant job. But going back obviously to that final shot of the three of them held up arms with each other and looking like they're going to be the next dominant faction on the planet, really, or in wrestling. My question now is, and it sounds silly when we've only just got Bron teaming up with Paul and Seth, but do you think that's it? Do you think it's just these two? Do you think, well, I mean, they're certainly good enough for it to just be them two, really, and just to be a partnership, but it seems like there should be another somewhere along the line, doesn't there?
I think there's going to be probably two more.
Okay.
I honestly think that this is cleverly going to be one of the best War Games built matches for a long time. I think they actually are thinking of War Games at the same time of like, okay, what's our SummerSlam? What's our because I think that Seth is the main event of next year's Mania, probably night 2.
Yeah.
If Cena doesn't have come back, which I don't think he will, but there's always that possibility if he holds the title and then leaves with the title that he then comes back, similar to what Punk did.
Yeah.
But I think that if that doesn't happen, the main event of night 2 will involve Seth. I think they've already planned that. And if that's the case, then I think they've planned the whole year out. And I think that War Games is one of those stopgaps. I don't know who the babyface side of things will be. It'll be people that obviously Seth and his gang pee off in the time that you get the Survivor Series. But two of those members will be CM Punk and Roman Reigns. Will be two of those members, and they will team once again, which is going to be such an interesting dynamic because obviously they fell out and now they're going to be back on the same page. I like the idea. There's two ideas that I've seen people floating around, but I like one more than the other. One is that they basically just build an Evolution 2.0. And you have Seth as the guy, as like the Triple H sort of the faction, or the Ric Flair of the faction. You have another more veteran-y style character be a part of it. You could do someone like an AJ Styles if you wanted to be that sort of veteran sort of character. You have Bron as like the Batista style, and then you have someone more the young gun Randy style, maybe like a Austin Theory or a Carmelo Hayes type ordeal could be involved there. I quite like the Austin Theory shout. Actually just strap the rocket to the kid, because we all know he's good enough. He just needs that character, and I think being in a faction like this would give him that character, similar to what it did with Randy way back when. I think the building a faction like that would be cool. I think the better idea
here we go,
is that Seth does what Punk did all those years ago and builds a shield to himself. Rather than remaking Evolution, you remake the shield. And Bron is the Roman Reigns. And again, I haven't come up with the exact theory as to who's going to be what, but you have the Roman, the Dean, and the Seth.
Yeah.
You have the characters. Seth was part of that faction. If And Heyman built it. Remember that Heyman built the Shield. That was part of the whole build to the Mania thing, was that Heyman built the Shield. I think they're going to build it again. And they're going to be the Shield to Seth. And that's going to stop the big matches from happening in frequent matches, sort of thing. So you can have Seth not wrestle on shows. Or it'll more be in a managerial sense or whatever, and you could have Bron versus Punk instead because he's the Shield to Seth, and you can build all of that, and I really like that idea of having a Shield built to him, and then you get to the War Games match and it's him and his Shield, because I just think that it just works. And I think there's so many people on the roster that need it, and would benefit from it. You've got a Carmelo Hayes. You've got the Austin Theories that I've already mentioned. There are multiple other people on the roster who are just like middling of the pack sort of thing. Or even, this is without even including NXT. The fact that, there are so many people on NXT that you can call up, like Trick Williams, for example, who you could quite easily shove into all of this. And this isn't even thinking about any gimmick changes. When I say, are they going to make another, not make another, but sort of like harken back to Dean Ambrose, and Dean Ambrose was a bit the wackier one. Doesn't mean that they have to be wacky now. They could have a gimmick change. They could, be let off the leash type thing. I don't think this is it. I think there's two more. I really do. I don't know who they are, and I love the fact that I can't predict who they are, because I think Bron was such the. If they were to announce, Heyman's going to reveal a new Paul Heyman guy, everyone would have probably predicted Bron. But the fact that they've done it way before we can even fancy
get in front of it,
they've gotten in front of it, as you just said. They've gotten in front of it. They've really caught us off guard, and now it's like, okay, are there more? Are there not? Are there more? Are there not? And I think there's two more, but I have no idea who they're going to be, because there's just so many people you can pick.
Yeah. So while you've been saying that there, actually, because when I watched the segment, it was very much, I could see them doing a tag match now. I could see the story of Punk and Roman have to get in the same bed again, and they have to get on. Can they do it? Can they put their differences aside and get revenge on Seth and Paul? And of course, Bron's now in the equation. But then I thought, when you've just said there about adding another two, well, do you have the tag match? And then towards the end, you have your moment of, okay, well, here's our two new members, and then you powerbomb them through the table, Shield-esque, like you say, or, do an evolution, whichever way you want to do it. I think that makes a world of sense, really. And it's very interesting, because there's a few people, I don't even necessarily think you need brand new guys. I think there's plenty of people up and down that roster that could fit really well, and change things up for some people. So yeah, it'd be very interesting to see who they get, because there's so many avenues you can go down. But it's funny, because even after the disappointment maybe of the ending of WrestleMania, seeing that Monday Night Raw and seeing that ending, it's now like, okay, we're at the races again. We're back. We're back again. A 12-hour disappointment, and then we're back on the horse. So yeah, it'll be amazing to see how it builds. And with again, like I said about the triple threat earlier, you know it's going to pay off in some really good ways. So yeah, it'll be fascinating to see how we get there. We might not have some payoffs for a very long time, but the build is going to be fantastic, I think.
Yeah, it will be. I think they've got a full-blown plan. I don't think this is a situation of they're kind of going on the fly. I think that the World Heavyweight title is kind of that, not necessarily. I think they've got a plan, but I think there's a bit of flexibility to that plan. Unlike the Cena one, where I think they've got a plan and they're going to stick to that plan. especially given the whole he's got so many dates countdown, which is genius.
Yeah, I thought that was brilliant. Yeah, on the Tron. Yeah.
But I think that this is one of those that they've got that plan of they know who's joining them, they know what they're building to, they know the match that they want at SummerSlam, Survivor Series, Royal Rumble Mania type thing. And they're going to build to that. And that's exciting because I think the fact that they know means that we're going to be tricked, swerved, thrown all over the place by Triple H and the booking team, who are just going to throw things out to the dirt sheets. So the reports are wrong. They always do when they know what they're doing. The reports are always brilliant. And yeah, I think that we're on course for a very good time with this storyline. I think this is going to be the thing we speak about more than anything else. This is our big non-title feud until Seth obviously wins the title. But I think that this is all not about the title until probably past Survivor Series. For me personally, obviously I know you think otherwise, but I think that there are so many different avenues. You can have him in the Money in the Bank and the Shield sort of protecting him. You can have him in the Royal Rumble even and do the straight edge society stuff. Him in the middle of the ring doing the sermon type. There are so many callbacks that they can do with this that it just excites me that I just know they're going to ignore it all and do something even more magical than anything I can come up with. And that's exciting.
Yeah, just on the Royal Rumble thing, like I could, as soon as you said straight edge society, I'm thinking like they do something totally different. Like the last 4 people out are all this faction, and Seth's number 30, and they all jump out and he wins. Like something like that would be crazy, but we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, exciting times ahead for the world of wrestling and on the WWE side as well. And of course, we've got SmackDown later this week, so who knows what will happen coming out of that. We've got to see what Cody's reaction is. We've got to see a whole bunch of stuff from there. And as always, folks, if you have enjoyed today's video, don't forget to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button if you want to see more wrestling content. And yeah, let's keep our eyes peeled for what comes next in the world of WWE.